They celebrated too early. They thought it was the end of Caitlin Clark. Gurrier was ejected after repeatedly fouling Caitlin Clark. The referees delivered one of the worst officiating performances possible. Angel Reese's fans told Indiana Fever fans to lower their standards, hopes, and expectations. But this particular player, she didn't see what Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham were about to do. Stephanie White started the game with the worst possible lineup. No Sophie Cunningham, no Lexi Hull. The Fever lacked energy, pace, and a high work rate on both ends of the court. Defense: too slow, late reactions, weak movement. Caitlin Clark, playing through some health issues, scored the Fever's first points, and she wasn't even at 100%. The opponent started to pull away. They thought it was over. Their coach believed he had found the answer to stopping Caitlin Clark. But at that moment, Stephanie White changed the question. Sophie Cunningham checked in with Caitlin, Sophie, Lexi, and Kelsey Mitchell on the floor. Everything changed. If one wasn't at their best, the others stepped up. Look at the ball movement. The best version of the Indiana Fever was back. Now, there was constant movement, hustle on both offense and defense. Look at Sophie. She might be the most elegant player in the WNBA. Lexi Hull has the best three-point percentage in the league. She took 2 threes and nailed them both. Indiana Fever changed the question. You're focusing on Caitlin Clark. We've got more cards to play. Look at this player. She has one of the dirtiest playing styles in the WNBA. Ever since the last game, she's been grabbing Caitlin's arm every time she tries to drive. The refs acting like they can't see a thing. She does it every time, pulls her arm, or grabs her jersey. But the way Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham would respond later, it would leave her completely speechless. Just look at the defensive intensity and elite work rate. Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull were sprinting all over the court all game long. Sophie came alive again. Caitlin Clark saw her. Now look at this smart decision by Caitlin. She could have gone for the layup, but she knew the Fever needed threes to close the gap and that Sophie Cunningham could be trusted. It was a great shot from Sophie. Just didn't drop. Caitlin went right back at that same player. There was a clear foul on her again uncalled. So, she came back with vengeance. This time the foul was obvious. Then the player shoved Caitlin Clark. Still no flagrant. Then she started trying to bully Caitlin. And Caitlin's response, she told her, "I'm not scared of you." Right there, a whole new game started because that player didn't realize how badly she just messed up. Caitlin's answer came quick. A genius assist. Then another perfect dime. Then she hit the most elegant three in the WNBA. The Fever cut the lead at the end of the first quarter. In the second quarter, the Fever turned into the most exciting team in the WNBA. Look at the ball movement. Look at the off-ball movement. Amazing court vision from Caitlin and Sophie. Natasha Howard had an outstanding game. Stephanie White brought in Dyrus Dantis for the first time. Not the best player in the WNBA, but if she can hit one of every 3 or 5 threes and plays with more energy than Dana Bonner, she's vital to the rotation. Gurrier kept playing dirty. Stephanie White managed the minutes perfectly, knowing they had to face the defending champs, Liberty, in less than 24 hours. Caitlin Clark saved her best for that game. Look at Kelsey Mitchell. She just delivered her 3rd straight excellent game. With this group of 4 and all the offensive options, it's impossible to stop the Indiana Fever. This is the team everyone believed in. They've got 4 players who can change the game offensively. Caitlin Clark came back to prove she's the best in the world. People said she had a bad game, but guess who led the game in assists? Caitlin Clark. She was also one of the top scorers in the game. The Fever were +5 when she was on the court and she shattered record after record. And it's just the beginning of the season. That player couldn't stop Caitlin Clark. Caitlin came back and dominated again. Another assist, then another. Indiana Fever flipped the script by the end of the second quarter. That's when that player lost it. She started barking and threatening Caitlin Clark. Caitlin responded with class. Give me a second to confirm her name. Yes. Ryan Howard. Congratulations, Ryan. You're famous. Now you can frame a picture of yourself with Caitlin Clark and hang it on your wall and tell your granddaughter in 30 years that you played against the greatest of all time. But it didn't end there. The showdown picked back up in the second half. Caitlin wasn't feeling well, but she insisted on playing. The Atlanta Dream's coach looked terrified and so did their defense. Indiana Fever's defense struggled without Lexi and Sophie. Howard scored. Caitlin Clark answered with a crossover and an assist. It wasn't Caitlin's best shooting night, so she shifted her focus to ball handling and playmaking. Caitlin took a breather and the Fever lost the lead. Sophie came in and got it back. Caitlin returned and Gurrier committed her 5th foul on Caitlin Clark. Howard scored again. But before she could celebrate, Caitlin Clark went coast to coast and scored at the rim. Even on her worst days, you can't stop Caitlin. Look at Lexi Hull's court awareness. Howard's bullying ends here. With Lexi and Sophie on the floor, everything changes. Foul on Caitlin. Another foul on Clark. But she just smiled through it. Howard came back to challenge Caitlin again, but Caitlin gave her another lesson. Caitlin Clark took over the 4th quarter and Atlanta had no answers. The refs tried to keep the dream in the game. Sophie Cunningham protested, "Watch closely." Sophie didn't even move. Look at that fan yelling at Caitlin to stop crying. What's happening to the WNBA? Why haven't we seen an official statement? Howard gave Atlanta the lead again. Caitlin came back again, but she was being heavily guarded. Natasha gave the lead back to the Fever. Howard hit a 3, but Lexi answered immediately before Howard could celebrate. Then Howard came right back again yelling, "You can't guard me." She really thought she had just won the game. But Caitlin Clark responded instantly. Drew a foul, hit the free throw, tie game. 3 minutes left. Play continued. And Caitlin Clark set up for the final dance. Howard couldn't believe what she was witnessing. Stephanie White played her last card. Sophie Cunningham. Sophie shut down the WNBA Bullies with no mercy. And called for a traveling violation. Howard hit the first shot, missed the second. Lexi got the rebound. Caitlin wasn't feeling great, but Sophie had Caitlin's back. Ball in Caitlin Clark's hands. That's safer than putting your money in a Swiss bank. Caitlin broke down the defense and dropped a dime. Then Sophie went straight at the WNBA Bullies again. Look at Sophie. The enforcer had arrived. Foul on Sophie. She didn't stop. Stole the ball. Crossed up the first defender, then the second, then the third, then sank the free throw. Sophie showed no mercy. She still wanted the ball. Don't forget to like and comment.